Super Videos back at you for another Q&A video. This is going to be Q&A number 14. Obviously, if you're not caught up with the Walking Dead show or comic book, you may not want to watch. So this is your official spoiler warning. Let's start with the Walking Dead show questions. The first question comes from Brenan Ratay, and he asks, would it be funny if in the uncensored Blu-ray version, Judith said an F-bomb because of Negan being around her? I don't know if you're being serious with this question or not, but one, Judith doesn't talk yet, and two, they're not gonna have a baby swear, in any television show. They can do it in the Blu-ray for Negan to say it, but not for a kid. Like, even in the uncensored Blu-ray, I don't think they can have kids swearing, or at least babies swearing, to be more specific. The next question comes from the BlackAntihero, and he asks, do you think Merle was killed off too early? Yes, I do think his story arc wasn't complete. I feel like there was more to his arc that they could have done, and I wanted to see him survive past the point that he died. I wanted to see him survive and be a part of the attack on the prison and help Rick defend the prison and die in the process during the attack on the prison. That would have been insane if they did that, because obviously it would be crushing for Daryl to see his brother die in front of his face like that. The way they did it, the way they had Daryl find Walker Merle was insane. That was very nicely done. But they could have remixed it in such a way where that actually does happen, but Daryl is also witnessing Merle's death as well. Or at least him getting shot, or him, being beat to death or something. That would add to the emotion, because he would see his brother at a point where he doesn't know if he's alive or not. And when Daryl finally gets to Merle, he sees that Merle is a walker, and we could actually have what they had before the same way. But that's a very good question. The next question comes from Stephen Moraga, and he asks, do you think that they will reach a point where Rick dies, Carl becomes the leader and trains Judith? I think that's perfect. The way you put it, that makes sense. There's going to be a point in the future, way in the future in the TV show, and obviously in the future in the comic book, where Rick is going to die and Carl is going to take over as the leader. And it would be very interesting to see Carl teach his sister how to survive, how to be a survivor, and how to basically lead. And I really like that idea. That's a great idea, Steven. I really like that. The next question comes from Jigger Dagus, and they ask, do you think they'll give a break to other supporting roles like Francine or Tobin? The short answer is no, because the cast is getting so big that it's almost impossible to give screen time to all of the characters, even minor ones. So no, I don't see that happening. Maybe a little bit for Tobin, but not Francine. And the main part of me saying that for Tobin is because of what Tobin has with Carol. I think they're setting Tobin up to do something significant. That's why I'm saying Tobin is going to get some more screen time. But in terms of giving more screen time to all of the minor characters, I don't think that's possible. The next question comes from Gavin Gottrill, and they ask, if the two death rumors are true, I would like to see Abe get it first and have Glenn get a shocking accidental death. What would you like to see happen if the two deaths are true? I disagree with you. I don't think that makes sense, because Glenn's death in the comic book was so iconic, and to see him die in an accidental way in the show, it's just underwhelming, and it's not serving his character right, and it's disappointing. So what I would like to see happen is Glenn getting the Lucille death. Because if they're gonna kill Glenn off in the same scene, they have to give him his original death. They can't give him any other death. So I would like to see Glenn die first via Lucille, and then I want Abe to react and intervene and die in the process. I don't want to see him get an arrow to the head. I don't want to see him get Lucilled. I want to see him die in another way. Either get stabbed or get shot or something along those lines. That's what I would like to see happen if the two death rumors are true. The next question comes from Primilian Overlord, and they ask, how do you think the group will react to the Lucille victim? I think they're going to be shocked. They're going to be terrified. They're going to be scared, some of them, and some of them are going to want revenge straight away. Some of them are going to sleep on it and plan to take revenge, but not show that they want to take revenge straight away. Overall, I think it's going to be a very heavy and intense scene. And the one word I could say for how I think everyone is going to react is shock. I think everyone is going to be shocked. That's the main thing. I think everyone is going to freeze, at least for a couple of minutes. You know, to see someone get their head smashed by a bat in front of your face, that's not anything you can take, you know, and just deal with it. At least not in the short term. It's going to take you a couple minutes to come out of that state of shock, in my opinion. And I know that they basically see death every day in their life now because it's the apocalypse, but they've never seen something this brutal. And I'm going to give you one example supporting the fact that everyone's going to be shocked, even Rick. If you go back and look at the No Way Out episode in the TV show, when Sam and Jesse die, look at Rick's face. It's shocking for him. He can't move. He can't talk. He's frozen. He comes out of it pretty quickly, but it's still shocking to him. He's still frozen. And I think we're going to see something like that in the premiere. And, you know, even more intense because the death is even more gruesome and more intense. And it's going to be just an overall heavy scene, in my opinion. But that's a very good question. The next question comes from Roleplay Morgan Jones, and they ask, do you think the latest sneak peek could be the opening scene? And when the camera pans to the victim, the intro will come up, and after the intro, we will see Negan saying it, or something like that. I think they could do that, but I don't see it playing out that way. I think we're going to see the death, and then the scene in the sneak peek is going to happen. Because even in the sneak peek, there's a moment of just silence and it's black, and then Negan says, was the joke that bad? I think we're definitely going to see something before that. And Negan's going to say something that's going to make him say, was the joke that bad? And if I'm going to assume that he says, Lucille is a vampire bat. And in the comic book, he says that right after he beats the victim. So it just makes sense for them to show the entirety of the scene and not break it down any further. They just shouldn't mess around with the scene anymore. They should just show us who dies, and then the sneak peek, Rick being taken away, and then we can go from there. That's the thing that makes the most sense to me. The next question comes from the BlackAntihero again, and they ask, I heard some people saying that Negan wiped the bat on Rick's face. That might be why he has the blood on his face. What's your thoughts on this? I think that's entirely possible. We're just going to have to wait and see. There's really no way for me to give a concrete answer. You know, it could be Negan wiping blood on him. It could be Negan spitting on him, like JDM said in one of his interviews he might do. He might even hit Rick. As he's about to hit the victim, Rick might get up and the bat might hit him. And that could be where the blood comes from. Obviously, it doesn't look like a wound. The blood, it just looks like blood, not a wound. But, you know, we're going to have to wait and see. I do have a special video talking about something else I noticed from the sneak peek. And I'm going to be putting that up probably tomorrow. Look for that video. We may have to reevaluate all of our predictions based on what I found from the sneak peek. But I'm going to be putting that video out, so look for that video. That's a good question, though. The next question comes from Omer Khan, and he asks, how do you feel about Negan beating the Lucille victim, but intentionally leaving the brain intact so they come back as a walker and then kill them again? That makes no sense because, as far as I know, Negan is not a doctor, and he doesn't have a sense of how the virus works, and, you know, how the walkers actually die when they're hit in the head. So Negan would have to be a genius to be able to do this, and I don't think Negan is able to do this. The next question comes from South Akkad, the boss, and they ask, do you think Rick will save Negan at the end of All Out War when he slits his throat? I don't know. If they will even do that, they might just beat him and put him in a jail. I think they're going to stay true to the comics for that. I think we are going to see that happen. Rick might beat Negan up a bit more than he did in the comics before he slits his throat and throws him in jail, but I definitely think we're gonna see that throat slit in the TV show. That's it for this Q&A video. Thanks for participating. If you want to participate in my next Q&A video, which is going to be coming up next Friday, the Friday of the weekend that The Walking Dead is back on, I'm very excited. So if you want to participate in that video, leave your questions in the comment section below. Make sure to put Q&A before your comment so I can find it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.